Hello, everyone. This is Justin Smythe from NextBigTrade.com. This is the Focus Watch List for August 2nd, 2024. With the semiconductors having gotten basically obliterated during this stock market correction, they are now kind of set up for a bounce trade. Given the fact they're so oversold now and volume looks like capitulation volume. The daily volume on SOXL on Friday was the heaviest downside daily volume ever, and it's now over 30% below its 30-week moving average. So not a typical setup that I tend to trade. However, this is so beat up that it looks like it's due for at least a bounce, and the bounce could be pretty significant because of how stretched it's gotten in just a short period of time. So if we jump down to the daily chart, we can look at the setup here more specifically. But basically on Friday, if you look at basically Thursday and Friday, there was massive downside volume, which looks like capitulation. You've kind of gotten below some previous support that was established during the April low, and then you've got a gap on the chart on the daily. Basically, you want to use the low from Friday to trade against, and then if we get a gap down on Monday, you could actually use that low to trade against, and then look for a low early next week, and then basically a reversal, which could go all the way back to the 30-week moving average as the moving average starts to kind of perhaps even turn around here. But after being cut in half in such a short period of time, this is likely due for a bounce, and the sellers are probably getting washed out here with such massive volume to the downside. So more of just a mean reversion type of setup here, but potential for some big short-term gains, especially if we get a bounce in the stock market. Overall, I think semiconductors are not going to be the next leading sector. They've got tons of overhead resistance now. They've been a major leader for 2 cycles now, actually 3 cycles. If you go back to early 2023, they were the leader coming out of the early 2023 lows. They were the leader coming out of the October 2023 lows, and the leader coming out of the April 2024 lows. So unlikely to be the next leader. Massive selling pressure, tons of overhead resistance now, but for the short term, super stretched to the downside and probably due for a bounce. And then NVIDIA is the other way to play this, being the leader. This one also had massive downside volume on Friday and for the week. And if you look at the daily, you can see the volume coming in here last 2 days of the week, and this would be more of a bounce back to the 10-week moving average as that's rolling over as well. And again, if there's any type of low set early next week, that would be the low to trade against for a stop, and then look for that move back higher. Just a bounce to the moving averages, as they might start to act as resistance, especially if the market remains weak. So this has, even if it does have this bounce, it's just got so much resistance now that it's going to run into resistance somewhere and then start to consolidate and go nowhere. So you just want to play the bounce trade and then get out of this. And that's really all this would be for. So just a kind of a mean reversion to play in an oversold market. And playing oversold markets is really the only way you can trade corrections to the long side, because if you buy after big moves higher, that's where the market gets crushed. Obviously, the latest move higher in July really got hammered as this correction continued, and so buying highs is the exact opposite thing you want to do in corrections. In corrections, you want to buy deep lows for some mean reversion. So that's what's going on with semiconductors. And again, longer term, don't look for this to be a leader as it has too much overhead resistance.